Hi, so we're back again. So as you can see, it's all nicely dried. I've moved the camera because I realised, look, on the playback my right hand, because I'm right-handed, is getting in the way a bit. So this is all nice and dry, and we're now going to go around and using our black pen, we're just going to go around, follow the edges, as you can see. Sorry about the sound of it dragging on the paint. So as you can see, when I said before that it doesn't matter about the edges, because this, as you can see, neatens it up. So we just follow the outlines. There we go. Round his nose. And we'll go around his boots. If you wanted to, you could always add little bells onto his boots, or a buckle, or some laces. It's entirely up to you. You can decorate it how you choose. You can, if you've not got a steady hand, or these Posca paint pens, you can always use a permanent marker. I would make sure that before you use your permanent marker that you check that your paint is 100% dry, as it can smudge the paint. So we're going to go through with a little bit of white and add some highlights. Try and make sure when you're adding your highlights that you're always highlighting the same side. So we'll add a little bit to his nose and on his hat. Again, you don't have to be too precise. It's just adding a little bit of detail to his hat. Now, because this ribbon, as you can see, they've got glittery dots and stripes, so I'm going to add some pom-poms. Before I add the pom-poms, I would seal it with this clear lacquer. I do know Rust-Oleum do a clear lacquer. This is Deco style. I think I got this from the range. If you don't have something like that, I'd paint over the top of it with Mod Podge, or alternatively can always use some watered down PVA, but again you need to make sure that you check that your paint is absolutely dry before you go and add anything over the top. On the other rail that I did, you might notice that I had little circles. I did those with these. These are just paint daubers that you get in the kids section at the range. I think for a packet like this, it was about £1, and as you can see there's lots in there, and all you do is dab your paint in and just bob it on, twist, or even just dab it wherever you like, or you can draw them freehand. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to get some pom-poms, and I'm just going to get a random selection, and I'm just going to bob those on with some hot glue. That's sticking everywhere. I'll just go ahead and bob a little bit on there and just dot these around wherever you feel. What's one? Some tiny white ones here. As you can see, it just adds a little bit of something different to you. To your gnome. Smaller green one. There. Red one. A smaller red one. Just see if there's some smaller green ones. There we go, they're all hiding. So it's entirely up to you whether you want to decorate it. You can always cut some material out and stick material on. There's nothing to stop you doing that. Rid of that bit of glue. It's the only problem with glue guns. They leave a trail of glue everywhere if you're not careful, but it is easy to pull off once it's dry. That one there. Some smaller red ones. Again, these were only about £1, I think, for all these. I think these were from the works. So as you can see, it just adds a little bit of something different. And the kids will enjoy doing something like this as well. Try that one. If you were doing it with the kids, I would supervise them with the hot glue. But again, you can use PVA glue, but it would just take a little bit longer to dry, as I'm impatient. Let's have a look. I think we need another one somewhere there. Smaller one there, I think. There. I think that will do for now. You can always go back and add more later if you're not happy with the result. I just pop these away and get these out of the way. And best turn the glue gun off as well. So now I'm going to add the mesh, and as you can see, move that up a little bit, I've already gone ahead and added the pipe cleaners. On this particular rail I'm going to use 8. You do get 10 in the pack, so it's entirely up to you. On the previous one I used 7, this one I'm going to use 8, but again, like I say, it's entirely up to you how many you use. If you use any less than 10 ruffles at 20 inches, there will be enough on a roll to make 2 of the rails if you use 20 inches. If you're using more than 20-inch ruffle, you will not have enough to do 2 rails, but it's entirely up to you how many you use. So you'll get pipe cleaners, and what you do is bend it in half, so you find the middle, bob that between the rails, pull it up through to where you bent it, and then you just twist them together. About 2-3 twists so that it doesn't move, and then you just evenly space out the others. So on this first row I've got 4 on the first row and 4 on the bottom row. You want to alternate the position, so because I've got 1 there, so start there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You just want to space them out fairly evenly, but I wouldn't worry too much about being too precise. So that's our pipe cleaners. On the back, that's how it will look on the back. So as you can see, there's nothing that will catch on anybody's door or the wall, so it's quite a neat way of doing things. Let's pop that to one side. So your mesh will come in a roll. Obviously you can see I've had some of this, used this already, because this is the second rail I've used with it, and I've still got all that left. You can see much there, so there's quite a fair bit left there. I have cut my mesh at 20 inches long. The best thing to cut your mesh with is a rotary cutter. Now these are very sharp, as you can see, and you'll need a cutting mat to cut these on, and you just roll it across like that, but make sure you put the blade away. If you are letting children do this and you do have one of these, I would advise that you cut the mesh, or you can just cut it across with a pair of scissors. So the easiest method of using this mesh is, as you can see, it naturally wants to curl that way. So the easiest way to do this is place something heavy at the end. Now this has got a middle section, as you can see there, so it's easy to follow where you're going to roll it or scrunch it, whichever you want to call it. So I always tuck, you can see that there, so tuck a little bit in at the ends, holding it down with your little fingers, and just roll it over. That helps prevent fraying. So then you just put your thumb and thumbs together, and then you pull, feed the mesh into your hands, keeping your thumbs together at the back. So as you can see, we're just going up that middle line, and when you get to the end, just tuck it over slightly, stop the frays. Oops, catch on there. And as you can see, we end up with what looks like a dicky bar. So then we just place, you can either have it that way or that way, it's entirely up to you. I think that when it's facing up, it gives a fuller effect. So then you just bob the mesh between the two pipe cleaners, and then you just give it a twist, a couple of ties, 1, 2, 3, and mesh it together, and it's as simple as that. So then move that to one side, get your next piece, put something heavy on it, some fluff there, piece of fluff, just turn the edges over just slightly, scrunch it up. Of course you don't have to use mesh, you could wrap a garland around the rail. I have seen people wrap fixing florist foam, is it Oasis, to the rails, and then they've just used that to put florals into. So again, we're just putting it down, a couple of twists, 1, 2, 3, fluff these up next to each other. So that's all we're doing, we're just putting mesh in like this. So as you can see, it's not difficult. So just, again, something hard, punch it up, the middle, you've got a little dicky bow effect. Bring your wreath back across, put it in, couple of twists, 1, 2, 3, push it together, put it up, and as you can see it's looking pretty full already. One side again, get your next piece, scrunch it up, find your next tie, the bottom row, put that in there, couple of twists, fluff it up, as you can see, look, it's looking really full, effective. That is the chair squeaking, by the way, I'm not passing wind. Again, tuck the ends in a little bit, scrunch it up. There's different methods that you can use with the mesh. Some people like to roll the mesh into ringlets. Some people like to use what they call the poof method. But if you go on YouTube and look up deco mesh wreath making, there is 1,001 different ways, different techniques. Some people like to use wider mesh, some people like to use fabric mesh. Like I said, it's entirely up to you what you would like to do with it and how you want to. But this, I find this is the easiest method for beginners. ties. Oops, that one's moved. Tie that one up in a second. If you find that your ties are coming a bit loose, put a clip on there, just go back in and give it a little firmer twist. There we go. And bob that back in there. Like so. Fluff it up against the others. Nearly done. So as you can see, it's quite a quick process. It doesn't take long. Just roll the edges over. And at the end of the day, it's only mesh. So don't beat yourself up if you don't get the technique right. Just practice. It's mesh. It's not going to break. As you can see, it can fray sometimes, but just cut the frays, because if it's a woven material, so it may fray. Don't pull it, just cut it. But we'll finish this. We'll do that bit in a second. So then just put this one in here. Cleaner. Put that down. Couple of twists. And this tie was coming loose, so I'll just go back in and give this a quick twist again. Last one. Over. Right. Middle. Oops, that one's a little bit wonky. There we go. Easy. That out of the way. If I ever make another video, I'm going to have to change chairs because this one is too squeaky. Sounds like I've been eating baked beans all day. So there we go. So that is your last. So just twist it round. So as you can see, that looks pretty full on its own. But now we're going to add our ribbons. So we've got our pretty gnome ribbon, and this is your 1.5 inch and this is your 2.5 inch. I'm just going to grab some scissors. So I've cut this to 12 inches long. I'm not sure what that is in centimetres, I'm showing my age now. As you can see, it's nice and sparkly. So what I tend to do is I fold it in half like that, and then I'll bring the two wide edges together like this. You see that there? The two, so the 4 edges are there. And then you need sharp scissors for this. And I snip towards the wire, and it gives a nice finish. You see, some people like to just cut it across at an angle, or some people just cut it straight. It's entirely up to you, but I just think it gives a nice finish. So we will take one of our gnomes and one of our 1.5 inch, put them together, fold them roughly in half, give it a little bit of a fold, and then scrunch the edges together so it looks like a bird. Bend it over, go back to your wreath. Oops. Okay, stuck, and then just bob it in between the pipe cleaners. A couple more twists. Position your... Now you can either, it's entirely up to you again, whether you want to have all the red going down, up, and the green going down, or whether you want to do one that way, or the green. It's entirely up to you. I think I quite like it that way. Now with the pipe cleaners, you can either cut them off, or what I tend to do is I tend to give them a few more twists, and then I tuck them to the back of the rail and just tuck them in and wrap them round. So it's a bit more secure. Just, oops, what have I done there? Is that the one? Yeah. So I think I'm going to have my green gnomes coming up and my red coming down. Oops, knocked all the ribbons on the floor now. Just pick these up. And you just carry on like that all the way through. So we just put them together, fold it roughly in half, find the centre, scrunch them together, go to your next set of pipe cleaners, bob your ribbons in between, give them a little twist, and go in and tuck them behind. As you can see, it's still looking very neat from behind. Now this time I think I will have the red going up. And the beauty